Oh my God, folks. The morning after, the night before. Right, we're going United again. We're going United versus Newcastle. And before I get into the match itself, I've got a few points to make regarding last night, and I've got a few points to make about the longer term. And if you're a United fan, please stay till the end of this message and let me know what you think. Am I right or am I not? We don't get enough comments on it, and I'd welcome them. If you're a non-United fan but a proper football fan and you're watching it, tell me if you've seen the game last night and if you've watched United this year, am I right or am I barking up the wrong tree? I don't want those on air that are on air just to delight at United playing crap and getting beat. I mean, don't mind you being on air, but you've no need to comment. But those that watch football, that have got a decent, sensible, honest opinion, give it to me. Right, last night, look, we got beat 3-0. We were absolutely crap. I think at this moment in time, we're in a long, dark tunnel that we can't get out of. We've been in the same tunnel for 5, 6 or 7 years. We've got a group of players there, although they've changed personnel in some respects over the last 5, 6 or 7 years, but we've got a group of players that are adept at downing tools and ultimately throwing the manager under the bus. They don't mind at all. They don't care. This group of players are just the same as 4, 5, 6 years ago. I'm not saying there's as many bad eggs in there as we had, but they just do not seem to care. More about that later. But on last night's performance, we get beat 3-0. There's no doubt in Newcastle are by far the better team. They've made lots of changes, but as had we. But we're at home. We're defending a cup, or supposed to be defending it. That was a shambolic defence. We get battered 3-0. But I will say in a weird way, in a really weird way, and some might knock the video off here because they might think, what the hell is this guy talking about? The goalkeeper wasn't that bad for a change. He didn't have a lot to do for all we got beat 3-0. Reguilon was fine, or reasonably good, but then again, not much came up his wing. I thought the centre-backs weren't that bad for all we let in 3 goals. Dalot was absolutely shocking, and I mean absolutely shocking in defence and in attack. Absolutely woeful. Probably the worst performance I've ever seen from the guy. But taking things into a nutshell, I mean, they scored 3 goals. I think the first one was really all down to bad defending, lack of defending, really poor. Some of the defending on the other 2 weren't brilliant, but I think on the other 2, they were both, maybe not wonder goals, but great goals, shots that weren't expected to be fired in. I mean, the second goal, it came from nowhere and Nana probably didn't see it, and it found right in the corner. He was never going to save it. If that guy had played that shot 20 times, it'd have gone in once, and the once was last night. By the same token, the third goal, brilliant goal, ran at us, the central defence opened a little, yes they did, or backed off. But again, a great shot, which couldn't be kept out. So really, apart from the one goal, the other 2 weren't that bad. That said, I'm not making excuses. Newcastle are by far the better team, and Newcastle deserved it. We had a player on there last night called Hannibal, and I'm thinking, like every other United fan, thinking, take him off, he's going to get sent off. We've been here before, where it's as blind as easy as the nose on your face to see that this player is going to get sent off within the next 10 or 15 minutes. Get him off so as we're not playing with 10 men. But although I'm saying that, and although we didn't take him off when we should have done, what I will say is this. Have the other 9 outfield players shown the same passion, commitment, drive, work rate as Hannibal, we would not have gotten beat 3-0 last night. Absolutely no way at all. We might have got a player sent off. We may well have done. But we'd have competed. He wanted to win last night and he never stopped running, chasing, tackling, showing a bit of grit, bit of determination and wasn't afraid to get his foot in. He was the only one. As I say, had everybody played like him last night, we could have won that game. But alas, we didn't. They didn't. And overall, we were crap. For all I don't think, as I say, the defence was awful other than Dalot, everything from the defence onwards was crap. We wasn't winning enough ball, we wasn't keeping enough ball, we wasn't setting up attacks. The attackers did what they normally do, which is absolutely bugger all. We were just absolutely shocking. And we're going from shocking to shocking to shocking to shocking. It's not changing. I look at the season and I think to myself, how many games have we played well in this season? And do you know what? Without going back to the fixtures, because my memory's bad, I can't remember. When I can't recollect a game when I come away thinking, that was great tonight, that was really good this afternoon, absolutely fantastic. I can't. We're on something like a 50% win rate and a 50% loss, no draws, which is unusual in itself, or virtually no draws. But the games we're winning, often we don't deserve to win them. The games we're losing, we do deserve to lose, and often by bigger margins than we're losing them. We're playing absolutely crap. The team's got no drive, it's got nothing. Now, I wouldn't want to blame Ten Hag. I've always been for keeping a manager. I've liked Ten Hag, I've always been in his corner. I started to turn just before the City game, and more so after the City game at the weekend. We know we're going to get beat there. We expect to get beat against them, that's not a problem. But the attitude of the players and what I've heard after the City game is what's worried me. I mentioned that the other day. If you've not heard it, I'll tell you in a minute what I heard from TalkSport, which really worried me. But I said early on this week, or last week, and I think I'm spot on with the assumption here. That's the wrong word, but we'll go on anyway. They've just had 3 games after Sir Bobby's died. 3 games. You would think they'd show a passion, a determination, something like Hannibal last night, and a will to win. And they'd want to play for that badge, play for the supporters, but more importantly, play for Sir Bobby. If they knew about the history of the club and who we were, what we'd come through and what we'd won, they would do that. The class of 92 and thereabouts always knew that. It was ingrained into them. I don't think it is with these boys. These boys have been brought in on inflated transfer fees, inflated wages, and if we get beat, they're not happy, their heads are down a little, but they're not that worried. It's not the end of the world. It should be the end of the world. It really should be. There was a time at our club, it used to be. It isn't anymore. So we've had 3 games there to play in Sir Bobby's memory, and we've won 2, we took 6 points. But I would suggest we played crap in all 3. We didn't deserve to beat Sheffield United. We probably just about deserved to beat Copenhagen, although they should have got a draw on full time. We shouldn't have said that penalty should go in. But maybe we just deserved to win, but we were still crap. We were still crap on our own meeting against the minnow of Europe. We were crap. And then against City, we were awful. They beat us 3-0. It could have been 6. It could have been 6. Absolutely no problem. It could have been 6. You know, that said, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes until that penalty, we were competing. I thought, wait a minute. We're showing a bit of passion here, a bit of drive, a bit of something about us. The penalty goes in and all of a sudden, we revert to type. Absolutely crap. I put the on-field problems at the feet of Rashford and Bruno. They're just not doing it. They're not working hard enough. You've got Bruno throwing his arms in the air on a constant basis. It's never changed. Don't look like it's ever going to. And diving on the floor. If I'm Ten Hag, I'm saying, look, you're not my captain. If I keep seeing you throw your arms in the air, the armband's coming off you. If I see you diving on the floor for no reason, because it always is for no reason, I'm not going to take the armband off you. I'm going to take it off the pitch. I'm going to put somebody else on, even if they're not as good as you. On the floor, Bruno, you're no good to me. You can't offer anything and attack me on the floor, but it gives us 9 outfield players instead of 10 when we're defending. I don't want you rolling around on the floor unless you're really, 100% genuinely injured. And the other reason I don't want you doing it is the rest of the players in the team, the players that aren't as good as you are seeing it, and they'll just copy. And I don't want that. I backed Ten Hag thus far because I think his handling of Ronaldo was good. I think his handling of Sancho is good. I've got nothing against what he's doing to Sancho. If what I mean about Sancho is true and the way he's treating people within that club, he deserves to go. No problem there at all. But this is the biggie, folks. I heard, as I say, after the City game on TalkSport, many of you might not have heard this, the co-pundit there with old Sam Matterface was saying, I've spoken to someone inside United, somebody in the backroom staff, and I've said, what goes on at half time when you're getting beaten playing that badly? Is he ripping into him? Is he really? Oh, no. Doesn't rip into him. None of us do. We've been told there's no shouting. These are young men. These are professionals. We can't shout at them. Once we shout at them, we've lost them. Well, I would suggest that you've lost them anyway. They are not playing for you, my old son. They're not playing for the team, for the badge, for the fans. They're not playing. You can convince yourself all you want that they are, but they're not. They're not playing. And that gets me back to what I think is the root of the problem at Manchester United now. And this, for me, is the root of it. We can have Gary calling the Glazers time after time after time, and to a great extent he's right. I want them out of the club. I really do. But like Simon Jordan has been saying on TalkSport, and I don't agree with everything Simon says, he's not the second coming that Jim will always believe, but he's very good, and 9 times out of 10 he is on the ball. He's saying what's happening on the field and the players mentality isn't all down to the Glazers. And at the end of the day, for all they're much maligned, they keep spending 1, 2, £300 million in every transfer window. So they're doing their bit to an extent, and I say to an extent, there's a big caveat on that. But for me, the biggest problem at United here is the loss of David Gill. It really is. Because I'll tell you now, had we have had David Gill here, he would have done one of 2 things. He would have either, number one, stood over all transfers and made sure we got the right people at the right amounts, or would have been clever enough to realise that the game has moved on and you do need a sporting director, but a sporting director with a proper CV who knows all about players, who's got his finger in lots of pies, who works with lots of agents and knows the value of players, but more importantly, knows about the mentality of players. Let me put the bins on for this. I'll just run through a few players if you don't mind. Since Giller's left it, we've got over the last just 4 or 5 years, let me give you some of the players we've bought. Wan-Bissaka for about 50 mil. Varane, I've not checked the fees, I'm guessing. I remember some of them, some I'm not so sure about. But I think Wan-Bissaka was about 52. Varane, we might have even got him for a free or 10 or 20 mil, but I've got a feeling it's about 40. I could be wrong. Varane 40. Mount about 60. Maguire 80. Anthony 80. Iggy about 45. Casemiro 80. Malacia 15. Martinez 40. Now I might be wrong about some of them, but for me, Wan-Bissaka, never a £50 million player. You know, if you watch this channel, I want him gone, and I've said for many reasons why. I know a lot of you like him, but I'm right and you're wrong on this one. I promise you, I am right and you're wrong. Varane, I think he was about 40, but I could be wrong. Being a great player, but in a great team with a great partner. Player, I didn't particularly like him, Ramos, but good at what he did. Didn't like him as a person, but good at what he did. And had a great team around him. He's forever injured at the moment. He's absolutely forever injured. He's coming to the end of his career. He stopped playing internationals to get more game time, yet he's always on the bench for us. Mount, 60 million. I don't see it at all. Maguire, 80 million. Does anybody see it? You know, he's not that bad a centre-back. Since he's come back, he's been pretty good. But he needs everything to go his way. And he just has got absolutely no pace. But with the better goalkeeper he's got now, or the goalkeeper more proficient playing with the ball from the floor, and if you put the right defence with him, you can cope with Maguire, especially if you've got a great holding midfield. But he needs everything to be worked around him, and that's not how things should be. Anthony, 80 million. Well, if there's one person that goes to watch United at Old Trafford that thinks he's worth 80 million, I want to speak to that player. I want to invite him to the nearest loony bin because he's got a problem. 80 million is unbelievable. The man that, what does he do? Wait a minute, I won't take 12 touches because I can take 22. I won't try to find space, I'll run up dark alleys because I'm great at running up dark alleys, then I'll lose the ball. I'll feign to cross the ball about 3 times, so the players in the middle are constantly making runs, but I won't cross it and they'll just stop making runs, and then when I do, there'll be nobody there. Oh, and wait, I'll get about 4 goals a year, I'll bend them all into the top far corner. Everybody knows what I'm going to do, every defender in the UK and every goalkeeper, but there'll be the odd time I'll bend it around players and the goalie won't see it coming. It'll look like a good goal, but as I say, everybody knows what I'm going to do. Iggy, 45 million. For those that don't know who Iggy is, I've told you many times before, the viewers that watch the channel, that is old Martial. When I seen he was leading the line last night, I just thought, we're not going to win tonight. We're not going to win tonight. And obviously we didn't, but he did absolutely nothing as per normal. And I mean absolutely nothing. Casemiro, 80. He was looking like a good buy this year. I mean, how you pay 80 million for a 31-year-old is beyond me. But we've got the money, and it's probably only paper at the moment because for all we spend, we bring it all in revenues. So I half got it, and he had a great season. This season he's looking crap, but we're playing crap, and he's not had a partner with him, a partner that's there all the time. This young lad, I keep getting his last name wrong, so we'll say Kobe, is that his first name? I think it is. We probably need him back. If he could play in the middle with Casemiro, and if the front man could work harder, so the ball isn't constantly coming back into midfield, we might see the old Casemiro again, because last year he was great. But 80 million for a 31-year-old, I think he's 31 at the time, he's 32 now I think. Is it good business? No, I won't say it is. Malacia, 15. I think he could be a good player. He's not been great for us yet, he's been out all season. I think he could be our best fullback. Many would disagree with that, but we haven't yet seen enough of him to make up a 100% definitive opinion. And then Martinez, I think Martinez was about 40. He's the good signing. Alright, he's got an issue because he's small. You know, for a centre-back he's extremely small. But I would suggest he's got something about him. For me, he would probably be our captain if we could get him on the field and keep him on the field. He was great till that injury last year, and I think he's come back too early and not been right. Has he got the same again, so he's out a few months again? I think, potentially, we've got a great centre-back there. But I think when I look at the centre-back roster at our roster at our club, I think we need another world-class, much taller centre-back to play with him. It could have been Varane 5 years ago, but the Varane of now isn't the Varane of 5 years ago. Maguire hasn't got the pace, and Lindelof done well when he came in last year, but I don't think he's a Manchester United starter. I've said that in the past. There was a time I wanted him to go. Based on last year now, on the back end of last year, I'm fine with him staying. I don't want to see him on the as a fullback again, especially after Sunday. I don't want to see him as a fullback again, unless we're playing a crap team. But as a centre back, as a backup, he's fine. But I think we don't have the right player to partner Martinez there. And that's what I look at, folks. And you look at that, and that in itself is £500 million worth of players. £500 million. And I think with many of those players, you look at character. The character. And that's why I go back to David Gill and what he would have done. And Fergie with him, and or what he would do now with the sporting director. Because for me, you look at character. Out of them, Mount, not sure about. Anthony, I'm definitely sure about. Iggy, I'm definitely sure about. I mean, you wouldn't have them as Manchester United players. You wouldn't have them as Manchester United players at all. They just moan, they whine, they don't roll the sleeves up, they don't get into it, and it's just... And I think there, folks, lies our problems. I do, honestly. I think there are problems. We've just got the wrong players who we've paid much too much money for. More importantly, we've given them too big a contract, so they just get lazy. They're happy, they're playing for a big club, all the exposure in the world, massive money. They don't care whether they play or not, whether they start or not. They care about whether they stay or not. They don't want to leave. Why would they want to leave that kind of money? They wouldn't, would they? They don't want to leave the kind of money they're on. But when they do go, we take a massive deflated fee. We lose loads of money. And often we're loaning them out because people can't afford them. And when we loan them out, we pay most of the wages. Because again, people can't even afford the wages. It's absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And back to that. Since David Gill left, we have gone down big style. And over the last few years, United players on a regular basis just down tools. And they're happy to get managers sacked. And I ask myself now, if Ten Hag does go, I'd give him these next 6 games now. And the thing is, with these next 6 games, they're all winnable. We can win them all. I think the last one's Newcastle. That's obviously a bit harder, but we can win everything up till there. But the games we should win. The problem is after that, they become harder. So even if he does well for the 6 games and he stays, you've got to look at what comes next after those games. At this moment in time, I don't think they're playing for him. I really don't. But I think if he's that blink, that stupid, that he can't grab them by the lapels and shake them up and shout and scream at them, they're not going to play for him. They're not. I mean, for me, there's 2 or 3 players I would drop there and bring in the kids. Bring in the kids initially and let the players that you drop, the big players like your Rashfords and your Brunos, work their way back in. And let them realise, okay, if you're going to get sacked anyway, Ten Hag, do something before you go. Try to shake them up. Try to kick them up the backsides. Because my worry is next, if Ten Hag goes, fans, viewers, who do we get next? Who's out there? You take Klopp and Guardiola away, who's out there? But more importantly, if you bring somebody else in next, are those players going to play for that manager? Because as I say, my worry is at this moment in time, the players that we have, and that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years, are happy to not play for the manager. They'll say all the right things in press conferences. We love the manager, he's great for us, he's this, he's that. But they don't reflect that on the field. They just don't reflect that at all. It's absolutely woeful. And it isn't getting any better. And it's a real concern. I mean, granted, we've had a horrific injury list of late. We really, really have. I'd say one of the worst in the league. And if we got everybody back and everybody was playing in the right positions, we could be a different proposition. That said, the football we're playing just doesn't look good. We've gone from last year looking really good and looking like we might be a team on the ascendancy to we've regressed unbelievably. But I would say you bring Shaw back in at full-back and Martinez as a centre-back, maybe get Varane back, and then maybe Casemiro with it, Kobe there at centre-mid, and then Fernandes in front of him. You know, all of a sudden you've got the nucleus there, you've got something, and maybe take Anthony out the firing line and give Ahmed a go. Let's see what he can do, because it's not being done at the moment. And then I would have Rashford and Garnacho fighting over that place. I would have Rashford thinking it's not just guaranteed to be his, because he's not doing it at the moment. And the thing is, Garnacho doesn't do it for the 90 minutes. He's more of an impact player. But I would have Rashford drop for a game or 2. He needs the kick up the backside that hopefully would give him. And hopefully he takes it the right way. I mean, last night he came on. I wanted to see him do something in that game last night to really run at him and try and make a difference. I want to see him and Bruno come on. I think it was only 2-0. 20 minutes ago. Come on, we can win this. Come on. Let's sort ourselves out. Come on. And I wanted them to lead from the front and drag the team forward. It just never happened. There was no passion, no fight, no spirit. Nothing there. I say Rashford just did nothing. And I know some can say, well, he didn't see a lot of the ball, although he normally does. But go look for the ball. When you've got the ball, wander in field. Ten Hag's not going to mind as long as you have some products at the end of it. But he just did nothing. He just sat there, did absolutely nothing. £350,000 a week for nothing. The poster boy for nothing. Is he a world-class player? Not on what we're seeing. Can he be? Of course he can. Was he great last year? Of course he was. But you've got to do it year on year on year. He says he loves United. He says he wants to be there for life. I bet he goes out now to Bayern Munich, to Real Madrid, to Barcelona. He'd look like a world beater. He'd do it. All the crowds are cheering. They're winning every game. He's got great players with him. Everything looks rosy. He'd play up to it and he'd be fine. You need to do it, Marcus, at United, at your team, when things aren't fine and things aren't looking good and everyone's on your backs. You need to be the guy that leads us and have the young lads in the team follow you. I know it's a lot of waffle, folks. I know it is, but just so disappointing last night. Really, really, really disappointing. And I just wonder, one, where the next win is going to come from, what kind of football we're going to play, and when are we going to see some passion from our footballers? When are we going to see our players getting behind the manager? But also, when are we going to see that manager grabbing people and shaking them up? And, you know, if your ethos, Eric, is once you shout at them, you lose them, I wouldn't worry about it. I would say you've lost them already. Shouting at them might bring them back. You need to concentrate the minds, Eric. You need to, because at the moment, they're not concentrated. You know, we read a story about after the City game the other night. Old Marcus is there out on the town. They called it a nightclub. It might have not been in there before. It might only be a wine bar. I'm guessing it is. It might have only been a couple of drinks, and it might have been somebody's birthday. It might have been a family member. It might have been planned for 3 months. You can't necessarily knock them for that. But that said, do you really want your players out on the town after the 3-0 loss against the old enemy there? You know, after the derby game, you know, does that not say it all? And I know it's like I'm keep having a pop at you, Matt, because I think you're great, or have been great, and can be great, you know, but the whole thing's a worry. It really, really is. It really is. But as I say, I think it all boils down to us signing the wrong players for the wrong fees, for the wrong wages, and not looking into the backgrounds and seeing what kind of player we're signing. City don't make this mistake. Doesn't look like Newcastle are making this kind of mistake. Brighton certainly aren't making this kind of mistake. They're bringing players in who want to come, who want to play, who want to improve, and who will work hard for the team. They're 3 or 4 things that United players that we bring in the future need to do as well. They are, because at the moment, they're not the kind of players we're bringing in. I don't care what anybody says. And it's just so soul-destroying. It really, really is. Anyway, onwards and upwards.